What is worse for a home fan, blowing a 20-point lead like we saw Nuggets fans endure, or never being in the game in the first place like we saw for Knicks fans? And now, to the Knicks' credit, in the third quarter, I think they got it to 7. But honestly, the Pacers came out shooting. They shot 79% in the first quarter, and the Knicks are supposed to be this juggernaut defensive team. I know they're banged up. I know that they were missing guys towards the end, and of course, you end up getting Brunson hurt. But I think both of them were tough. One of them, you think, okay, here we go, we've got this thing in the bag, and then it's like the water torture of the team coming back and taking it from you. The other one is you just never were in it.
I think it's worse to blow the lead. Like with the Pacers and the Knicks. Well, one, I mean, the Knicks were so beat up, and you just wondered if there was anything left. And by the time Brunson got hurt, it didn't matter anyways. But I mean, that thing was just a mass shoot it, right? And the fact that Indiana played the way they did and shot the ball the way they did, at least then you can just be like, you know what, it just wasn't our night. But to have, you know, Murray had 24 in the first half, to look that dominant, to extend the lead at the half. And they even said it on the broadcast, they were like, hey, you know, this can go one of two ways. Either you get this under 10 or you push the lead up. And they pushed the lead up at half. And then to see it crumble like that, I think it ended up being like a 54-20 something run to close out that game.
Yeah, the second half was 60 for the T-Wolves to 37 for the Nuggets.
I mean, to see that happen, and even towards the end, right? It was nip and tuck. It was they'd get it to 3, they'd push it up to 5, and then just the way it ended with the bad rebounding. I mean, how many close out, box someone out? My God, how many dunks can you get? It felt like there were so many moments at the end of that game where it felt like Denver, okay, they took their best punch, and here comes the championship medal. And then Minnesota would respond with either a block underneath or a putback dunk or a big offensive rebound. And to see your team just kind of run out of gas like that, and then kind of at the end, not even be willing to play the free throw game, it just kind of seemed like a team, like you see this in fights. You see this in like MMA or boxing or wrestling matches where the person is so exhausted, they just lay down, basically.
Yeah.
They let someone, you see it like in UFC, where basically they let themselves
You're not throwing in the towel, you're just allowing yourself to get beat.
Yeah, someone just rolls over and lets the other person choke them out because they don't want to quit, but they don't have the gas to keep going. It felt like that in the last minute of after the big, was it Anthony Towns that had the big throwback dunk? It just kind of felt like that one was, Denver just was like, all right, well, we're done. And to see your team, a championship team like that, oh my God. I'm sorry. I would rather just have my team not show up. I would rather just have it be like, you know what? I knew from the very get-go it wasn't my night tonight, and just be done with it.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that there's an element of, if you're there for the experience, building that lead, like going through that game, and there's a lot of highs before that low comes, but the low that comes is getting your heart ripped out as a fan. At least on the other one, early maybe it's not our night, like you said. People pointing out on the text line, Suke mentioned you stayed at that 5,000 inning Mariner loss. That seemed like a bad ticket to buy.
Yes, I sat there for every one of those effing innings.
Was it 18?
Was it? It was.
Yeah, Ordner says yes.
18? Yes. And by the way, it's inning after inning after inning of nothing. And to lose on that, yeah, just devastating. Someone else, the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers coming back on Portland. You're telling me that wouldn't have been better had Portland just been blown out? This guy says he still hasn't recovered from that. That was 2001.
Yeah.
Like the blowouts, for whatever reason, they don't last.
Yeah, text line saying again here, with the blowout, you just kind of shrug and go on your way.
Yeah. Like we have those, and well, I'm sure you had these too. Like, I remember we got beat by Syracuse. Like, it was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. We didn't even watch the film. Like, you just go back on you go in on Monday, and the coach is like, "Well, not gonna watch this one, boys. There's nothing we can take out of it. We burn it. It's over. It's done." Those are easier to flush. Those are easier to flush than the ones where, if you're Denver, you're going to look at that game and be like, my God, guys, like what happened? I mean, Porter Jr., Gordon, I mean, nothing. They just completely no-showed.
Porter Jr., 3 of 12 from the field. Yeesh.
Yeah, those are going to be the ones. And again, they'll go back and look at those box outs. There was a couple of those where it looked like Denver just didn't move their feet.
Yeah.
Like guys just stood there. And those are going to be the absolute ones that you go back. They will remember those for the rest of their lives. The blowouts, you'll move on from those.
And then I wonder though, you always end up asking the questions, will this, will a championship team be back? It feels like the Nuggets have enough of the star players and right guys in place to make another run at this thing. But you never know.
No.
I
Well,
don't know.
this is 6 years in a row. It's the first time since like the 70s. We'll have 6 straight years in the NBA of a different champion.
I'm glad you brought that up, and we can talk a little bit more about that coming up as well. But I think that's I didn't realize that. I think it's great.
I love that we've got new blood, and I wish Boston wasn't there because I think Boston's going to win the whole thing. But
Sure.
I love that we've got new blood, and I love that you're seeing different teams. But in today's world of the salary cap situation and kind of the end of super teams, and it's hard. Denver's going to have to make some tough decisions about what they do, and they got their title. Milwaukee won one a couple years ago, and they went and got Dame, but Milwaukee hasn't sniffed one since. Like, winning titles is tough, but it used to be, oh, you win a title and it felt like, well, you're going to be in line now to win, maybe 2 or 3 of these over the next 5 years, and the window's open, and look, Denver's going to be fine. Like,
I think so
you
too.
have the best player in the league. You have a well-constructed roster. Hopefully you get the contract situation worked out, and you can kind of keep the group together and maybe piece together some cheap, you need a better bench. But there's no guarantees. And again, 6 years, different champions. So I just think sometimes that window that we thought was always open, it appears in this world of the NBA, it's just, I don't know, it's not there. It's at least that's what we've seen over the last, half a decade.